Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country Ukraine since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos I try to update you on the important real-life situations in my country Ukraine, and of course I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our history, our culture, our background, or whatever interests you. And today I have decided to record this vlog on the central pedestrian street of my city, Lutsk, sitting close to a beautiful mural that depicts our famous Ukrainian writer Lesya Ukrainka, whose life was closely connected with my city Lutsk and with our region, but demonstrating you this nature and skies and trees and people. Everything seems very ordinary, and once again I'm lucky to live in a semi-dangerous zone of Ukraine, but at the same time from moment to moment we all discuss the possibility of the nuclear explosion in Ukraine. And when you scroll the page of your Facebook or news, among traditional things, I don't know, weather forecasts, updates, political, economical, you come across tips and advice how to survive a nuclear explosion. And perhaps this is something the world wanted to forget since the times of the Cold War. I personally know lots of military experts who believed that after actually the collapse of the USSR and after the end of the Cold War, there is no need to keep nuclear weapons, there is no need to keep various things that are necessary for their preservation, and perhaps the world can come back to normal. But it is not so. And first of all, I personally hate the idea that having nuclear weapons makes a country more influential, despite the fact that other politicians in other countries deny that. The absence or presence of nuclear weapons decides a lot. And this is totally wrong, because the very weapons are totally wrong, and Ukrainians know it better than anyone other. And that is because of the Chernobyl tragedy that we had to go through back in 1986. So please forgive the advertisement, but maybe like glimpses of Ukrainian life, so that's how it is. And now we have lots of tips that we can read how to act in case when Russia decides to attack us with nuclear weapons. And today President Medvedev, ex-President Medvedev, one of the most famous alcoholics of Russian Federation, or better to say Orklon, said that if they decide to target Ukraine with nuclear weapons, they are sure that NATO countries won't react. Well, maybe they won't, because the world does not want to proceed to not just to the Third World War, but to the third nuclear war. And of course, all the actions of Orklon, they are insane. I personally did not believe full-scale war is possible, so now I personally do not believe that they can throw a nuclear bomb on us, but at least my experience tells me everything is possible when you have Russia as a neighbor. So from time to time we have jokes, we have ideas about what can happen, what cities can be targeted, will it be something symbolic or closely connected with the military, or maybe it will be outside Ukraine, and so on and so forth. For example, when today we recorded our Soviet Myths Debunks episode, I had an idea, maybe we should record a video about Soviet nuclear potential, and my colleague told me, well, we have to hurry up before they hit us. And it's funny, but it's not funny, because with Russia, once again, everything is possible. And then if they do it, I don't know what's possible next, because from one point of view there should be a reaction, and bullies and cowards like Russians, when they don't see that reaction, they continue aggression. That's we see on the example of Crimea annexation. But perhaps a nuclear war all over the planet is also not a solution. So I hope that maybe around Putin there are some intelligence services working already on trying to predict and avoid this scenario, the worst case scenario possible. Also, within these last months, Ukrainians have become experts in nuclear weapons, and me personally too. I remember the first time I googled how to act, what types of nuclear bombs exist. That was very scary, that was weird. I'd prefer to Google, I don't know, some new clothes or makeup, but that's what we do. And now I realize there are lots of kinds, all of them are like super deadly, not all of them cause nuclear winter. There are some small tactic weapons that can be used in radius like 15 kilometers, but these are all tragedies, these are all deaths, and most importantly, these are like, I don't know, crossing the red line forever, because till now we don't have many examples, and any nuclear explosion is always a tragedy. So just sitting here, I was scrolling my page, and I have read a list of advice how you should act when a nuclear bomb falls close to you. And for example, when you see a nuclear mushroom, you don't have to look at it not to get blind, you have to fall on the ground and to cover your head. But I do believe that if you see a nuclear mushroom, it's kind of one of the last things that you see. Also, it's important to close all the windows, to hide in an underground or in a bomb shelter. And since the times of the Cold War, there are some super strong bomb shelters, even in my city, especially under old communist objects, but they are very small, and definitely it's not enough for people. Those who live in really high buildings can go higher than the 10th floor, but it's important to cover the windows and doors and many other things. Also, it's difficult to buy iodine. It's good for the protection of radiation, and Ukrainians know it since the time of Chernobyl, but many of our pharmacies have already ran out of iodine supplements and pills, so that you can drink them and protect, at least to some extent, your body from radiation. So my intention today was actually to demonstrate you this kind of like ordinary life and extraordinary conditions in which we are living. And also I want to stress that for Ukrainians this is like an added trauma, because many families suffered from Chernobyl catastrophe and radiation that was equal to many nuclear explosions. And I do hope that my beautiful country won't have to go through that for the second time. And actually it's a tragedy that us Ukrainians, global politics, allowed such people as Putin to survive and continue ruling the country for decades, and now starting this war against everything normal, against freedom, democracy, and threatening the world with nuclear weapons all the time. He likes to incorporate it in jokes and various dialogues, and this is so absurd, this is so pathetic. So I do hope that all of us will see the day when not only his regime falls, when not only he's dead, but like Russia is totally changed, and people realize the crimes they have committed against humanity. Because now when they protest against mobilization, they don't protest against nuclear weapons, they don't protest against Putin, and they don't protest against war in Ukraine. So we have to remember that, we have to be careful, we have to believe in the best, but at the same time to keep reading those advice how to act in the case of nuclear attack. Let me know, how do you feel about that? Are you afraid of that? And maybe some advice to the Ukrainians. Thank you once again for watching. Thank you for your support, buying me coffees and becoming my patrons. Slava Ukraini!